June had always believed her life was a book whose pages were about to close. After years of dedication and love, her husband abandoned her, leaving her alone with her shattered dreams. Sadness enveloped her like a thick fog, and the days dragged on with no hope of a new beginning. It was in this dark scenario that a letter arrived, bringing news she never expected. As she opened the envelope, her hands trembled with curiosity and fear. The letter, written by a formal and serious lawyer, announced that June had inherited an old barn from a distant relative. The news was as surprising as a bolt of lightning in a clear sky. June barely knew her father's family, having distanced herself from them after her marriage. Now, suddenly, she was the sole heir to a property that seemed straight out of a forgotten tale. Not knowing what to think, she decided to visit the barn. Curiosity was stronger than uncertainty, and something inside her whispered that perhaps there lay the key to rewriting her story. June drove for hours, crossing green fields and dirt roads, until she finally spotted the old, time-worn structure. The barn was imposing and silent, like a guardian of long-buried secrets. June stopped the car and got out, feeling the cold wind caress her face. She walked slowly to the wooden door, whose boards creaked under her touch. She took a deep breath, summoning the courage to enter that space that, somehow, seemed to call to her. As she pushed the door open, a new world unfolded before her eyes. The interior of the barn was filled with old objects, each carrying a story, a memory. June was speechless. There, in the midst of dust and shadows, she felt a deep connection with something greater than herself. It was as if the barn had been waiting for her, guarding treasures not only material but also spiritual. Not knowing what the future held, June took the first step inside the barn, feeling that perhaps that place could be the beginning of her redemption. June's heart was still pounding with the surprise of the inheritance as she settled into the old leather armchair of the lawyer. The room was austere, decorated with shelves full of heavy books, and the smell of old paper hung in the air. The lawyer, a gray-haired man with a serious look, studied documents before beginning to speak. "Ms. June," he began, "you were the sole beneficiary of your great-uncle Leon's will. He was a reserved man, and few knew the extent of his possessions. The barn you visited is just a part of the legacy he left behind." June could hardly believe what she was hearing. Her great-uncle Leon was a name she had only heard in scattered stories told by her father, a man who lived in isolation, away from the curious eyes of the town. Now, her whole life seemed to revolve around a past she barely knew. She leaned forward, absorbing every word the lawyer said, feeling like a character in an old romance novel, where mysteries of the past unexpectedly arose. "Leon left a diary," the lawyer continued, handing June a leather-bound notebook, already worn with time. "He expressly requested that it be given to you. In the pages of this diary are the keys to understanding the importance of the barn and the things he kept for so many years." June took the diary with trembling hands, feeling the weight of the history that now belonged to her. She opened the first page, where elegant handwriting began to tell a story of love, loss, and hope. Every word seemed to call out to her, connecting her to a past that had suddenly become personal and inescapable. That night, at home, June began to read. Leon's words transported her to a different era, where he spoke of dreams that had not come true and of a hope he never lost. Leon talked about the barn with a fondness that made June see the place with new eyes. He described every detail, every object kept with a purpose, as if he knew that one day she would find that hidden treasure. As the moon illuminated her living room, June felt overwhelmed by a new determination. The barn was not just a material inheritance. It was a testament of destiny, a link to the past that promised to transform her future. Each page of Leon's diary was a step closer to discovering the true purpose of that legacy, and June knew she was only beginning to unravel the secrets he had left for her. The next day, with Leon's diary in hand, June returned to the barn. This time, she was more determined, carrying with her not only curiosity but also a deep desire to discover what her great-uncle had wanted her to find. The sun was high in the sky, and the fresh country air carried the scent of earth and plants, like a prelude to revelations. As she approached the barn again, June felt a mix of reverence and anticipation. The structure, though weathered by time, seemed to pulse with an invisible energy. She pushed the door with more confidence this time, and daylight flooded the interior, illuminating corners previously hidden in shadows. Each step she took echoed on the wooden floor as her eyes explored the surroundings. There were old furniture covered in dust, rusty tools hanging on the walls, and boxes full of items that seemed to belong to different eras. But what caught her attention the most were the details beginning to emerge from the diary's pages. Leon had described the barn with precision. He mentioned a large table in the center where he used to work on his projects. June walked over to it, running her fingers over the worn marks on the wooden surface, imagining her great-uncle's hands performing daily tasks. In one of the drawers, she found an old key, just as he had described. With the key in hand, June felt she was on the right path. Leon mentioned a chest hidden in a secret compartment, and she began to search the barn walls, tapping lightly in different spots until she heard a hollow sound. There, behind a wooden panel, was the chest. Her heart raced as she unlocked the chest with the key she had found. When the lid opened, the scent of old wood and paper filled the air. Inside the chest, June found a collection of letters, photographs, and documents that told a story far beyond what she could have imagined. Each item seemed to have been carefully preserved, as if Leon knew that one day they would be discovered by someone who would understand their value. The letters were correspondences between Leon and a woman named Ivy, full of love and longing. The photographs showed happy moments and places June had never seen, and the documents revealed secrets about the family that had been forgotten over time. June spent hours exploring the chest's contents, feeling increasingly connected to her great-uncle and her own history. The barn, once just an old structure, was now a place of discoveries and living memories. The mystery surrounding the barn began to unravel, revealing a legacy of love, hope, and secrets that June could not wait to fully uncover. After spending hours immersed in the hidden treasures of the barn, June felt a mix of euphoria and responsibility. She knew she had only discovered the tip of the iceberg, and that Leon's legacy contained much more than it initially seemed. Upon returning home that night, she could barely sleep, eager to return to the barn and continue her exploration. The next day, June decided she needed help to understand the magnitude of the inheritance. She called a trusted friend, Neil, a local historian who loved uncovering mysteries of the past. As she explained the situation and showed him some of the photos and documents she had found, Neil was immediately interested and offered to accompany her on her next visit to the barn. Upon arriving at the barn, June and Neil began to organize the items found in the chest. With his historical knowledge, Neil helped identify dates and context of the photographs and letters. Together, they discovered that Leon and Ivy had lived a forbidden love story, forced to keep their relationship secret due to familial and social circumstances of the time. The letters revealed a deep love that had withstood time and distance. As they explored the barn further, Neil found an old map hidden in one of the boxes. The map seemed to show Leon's property with several intriguing markings, suggesting the existence of other hideouts and important locations. June was amazed at the idea that the barn and its surroundings could hold even more secrets. Guided by the map, they found a small secret compartment in the barn floor. Inside it was a metal safe, different from the other old items found so far. With effort, they managed to open the safe and discovered a collection of jewelry and valuable documents, including property titles and company stocks that June had never heard of. Among the documents, there was a letter from Leon addressed to June. In it, he explained that he knew she would one day need a new direction in life, and that everything he had kept was meant to help her find that direction. Leon spoke about the value of memories, love, and the importance of connecting with family roots to understand one's path. June felt a profound sense of gratitude and renewed responsibility. Leon's inheritance was not just material. It was a gift of wisdom and love, an opportunity to rebuild her life on a solid and meaningful foundation. With Neil's help, she began to plan how she could use the resources she had discovered to create something new and beautiful, honoring her great-uncle's legacy and transforming her own story. As the days passed, June and Neil delved deeper into the exploration of the barn and the surrounding lands. Leon's map continued to guide them, revealing new secrets with each step. The barn, which initially seemed like just an old, worn-out structure, was now transforming into a portal to the past, full of mysteries and revelations. One day, while examining a more remote corner of the barn, Neil noticed something peculiar about the floorboards. With a torch and a crowbar, he began lifting the boards, revealing a staircase that led down to a hidden basement. June's excitement grew as they descended, lighting the way with the torch. The basement was filled with artifacts, wooden crates, and dust-covered shelves. It was as if Leon had used that space to keep the most valuable and intimate secrets of his life. June and Neil began opening the crates, discovering historical documents, personal items, and more love letters between Leon and Ivy. In one of the crates, they found a collection of diaries that belonged to Leon. The pages, yellowed with time, were filled with detailed accounts of his life, his feelings, and his hopes for the future. Reading the diaries, June felt as if she were conversing directly with her great-uncle, learning about his challenges, his victories, and his passions. One of the diaries contained a special mention of a life project, something Leon seemed to have planned with great care. He described the vision of transforming the barn and the surrounding lands into a place of refuge and learning, where people could reconnect with nature and find peace and purpose. Leon had dreamed of a community center, a place of welcome and transformation. June was deeply moved by Leon's vision. She could feel the passion and love he had for that place and the idea of helping others. She decided, at that moment, that she would honor this dream, transforming the barn and the property into something that could benefit not only herself but also the surrounding community. Neil, always the supportive friend, offered his help to make Leon's vision a reality. They began planning the steps necessary to restore the barn, seek resources, and involve the local community in the project. June felt that she was not only uncovering the secrets of the past, but also building a promising future based on her great-uncle's values and dreams. Each day brought new discoveries and a step closer to realizing Leon's legacy. June felt increasingly connected to him and the land that was now hers. The barn, once a symbol of a forgotten past, was becoming a beacon of hope and renewal, a new chance for June and for everyone who crossed her path. As June and Neil continued to explore the hidden basement, new layers of Leon's history were revealed. Each open box, each diary leafed through, brought to light relics that told not just the story of a family but of an entire era. It was as if Leon had foreseen that one day his memories would need to be rediscovered and understood. On a sunny afternoon, while rummaging through one of the last boxes, June found an old leather trunk with rusty clasps. Upon opening it, she and Neil were amazed to see a collection of carefully preserved personal items: war medals, letters from distant relatives, black and white photographs of parties and family gatherings. Each item was a piece of the puzzle that helped build the complex life of Leon. Among the items was a silver locket with a miniature portrait of a young woman. Neil picked up the locket and examined it closely. "This must be Ivy," he said, pointing to the delicate portrait. June felt a shiver as she realized she was looking at the face of the woman who had been Leon's great love. The locket, filled with feelings and stories, seemed to vibrate with the memory of a love lost in time. Another significant find was a set of sealed letters, all addressed to Leon but never opened. June picked them up carefully, feeling the weight of the unread words. Upon opening them, she discovered they were from Ivy, sent during the years of forced separation. Ivy's words overflowed with longing, love, and hope, describing her days and nights waiting for their reunion. These letters revealed the depth of the love between Leon and Ivy, a love that had withstood time and distance. As she read the letters, June couldn't help but think about her own life and how things might have been different if she had had such a deep and enduring connection. The strength of Leon and Ivy's love inspired her, giving her hope that she too could find new purpose and joy. As the days passed, June and Neil organized all the items they had found, cataloging and preserving each relic with care. They decided that the best way to honor Leon's memory would be to share these discoveries with the community. Thus, they began planning an exhibition in the barn, where everyone could see and learn about the rich history preserved there. The preparation for the exhibition brought new enthusiasm to June's life. She worked tirelessly, restoring the barn, cleaning, and preserving each found object, The local community began to get involved, offering help and support, making the project a collective effort. At the end of each day, June felt closer to Leon and to her own redemption. The relics of the past were not just memories. They were a bridge to a future where love, hope, and memory could flourish again. The barn, once an abandoned structure, was now becoming a place of remembrance and renewal, where the stories of yesterday inspired the dreams of tomorrow. As the barn exhibition took shape, June felt an increasing connection with her ancestors, especially Leon and Ivy. Each object she found, each story she uncovered, seemed to weave an invisible thread linking her to the past and the rich tapestry of her family. She felt like the guardian of a legacy that needed to be shared and celebrated. On a cold morning, June decided to explore an area of the barn she had not yet thoroughly investigated. At the back, there was an old wooden shelf filled with dusty books. As she pulled out one of the books, a small metal box fell to the floor. June picked it up and carefully opened the lid, revealing a set of letters and old documents. Among the papers was a marriage certificate for Leon and Ivy. June was surprised to discover that they had secretly married, escaping the restrictions imposed by their families. This revelation brought tears to her eyes. Their love story was even deeper and more tragic than she had imagined. In the midst of the documents, June found a diary of Ivy's. Its pages were filled with intense feelings, deep reflections, and accounts of the love she felt for Leon. Ivy described how the barn was a refuge for them, a place where they could truly be themselves, away from critical eyes and societal expectations. As she read the diary, June felt as if she were hearing Ivy's voice, whispering secrets and heartfelt confessions. The connection to her ancestor grew even stronger. June felt she was not only rebuilding the barn but also rescuing and bringing to life the story of Ivy and Leon. Neil suggested they include Ivy's diary in the exhibition so that others could know and be moved by their love story. June agreed, feeling that this was the best way to honor her ancestors' memory. Together, they selected excerpts from the diary and displayed them alongside the letters and photographs, creating a space where the voices of the past could be heard once more. The community became increasingly involved in the project. People of all ages came to help, offering skills and resources to restore the barn and prepare the exhibition. June felt a wave of gratitude and hope at seeing the positive response from those around her. The barn was transforming not only into a memorial but also into a gathering place where stories and memories intertwined, connecting the past to the present. One night, after a long day's work, June sat alone in the barn, surrounded by the objects and stories she had discovered. She felt a deep peace, knowing she was honoring her ancestors and creating something meaningful. Leon and Ivy's legacy would not be forgotten. The connection with her ancestors was now an integral part of her own journey, a source of strength and inspiration for all that was yet to come. The day of the exhibition's grand opening finally arrived. The barn was transformed, not just in appearance but in spirit. The hard work of June, Neil, and the community had resulted in a space that not only told a story but made it feel alive again. The air was filled with anticipation as the first visitors arrived, curious to discover the secrets the barn held. June, nervous and emotional, welcomed the guests at the entrance. As people entered, their eyes widened at the wealth of memories and artifacts on display. Old photographs, handwritten letters, diaries, and personal objects were carefully arranged, each item with a story to tell. Among the visitors were some of June's distant relatives who had come from various parts of the country. Many of them had no idea of the legacy that Leon and Ivy had left. Upon seeing the exhibition, they were amazed and deeply moved. June realized that, for many of them, this was the first time they were intimately connecting with their own family's history. In one corner of the barn, a small area was dedicated exclusively to Leon and Ivy. There, Ivy's diary was displayed, open to a page describing one of the couple's happiest moments. Beside it, a portrait of Leon smiling next to Ivy conveyed a sense of joy and peace. June noticed that many visitors lingered there, reading and absorbing every word, often discreetly wiping away tears. One of the visitors, an elderly woman with a wrinkled face and gentle eyes, approached June. "I knew Leon and Ivy when I was a child," she said. "They were wonderful people, always so passionate and full of life. I never understood why they distanced themselves from the family, but now, seeing all this, I finally do." June felt a lump in her throat. The revived memories were not just hers. They belonged to everyone connected to that story. She felt a deep gratitude for being able to share this legacy and help others reconnect with their own roots. As the exhibition continued, June met a young couple who were particularly interested in Leon and Ivy's love story. "We are engaged," they said, "and seeing this exhibition has inspired us to value our love even more and the importance of preserving our memories for future generations." These words touched June deeply. The hard work, the sleepless nights, the dedication to rebuilding the barn. It had all been worth it. The revived memories not only honored the past but also inspired the present and the future. At the end of the day, as the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, June was alone in the barn. The soft twilight light illuminated the artifacts, casting long and evocative shadows. She felt the presence of Leon and Ivy there, as if they were watching, satisfied and proud of what had been accomplished. June knew this was just the first step of a new journey. The barn, with all its revived memories, was now a living, pulsating place, a symbol of love, resilience, and hope. And with that, she also felt renewed, ready to embrace whatever the future held. Days after the opening, the exhibition continued to attract visitors from all over. June felt more connected than ever to her family and the community. However, she still felt that there was something more to be discovered. A sense that the barn held one last secret, one that could change everything she thought she knew. One afternoon, while reviewing some of the less explored documents, June found a letter that seemed different from the others. It was a letter from Ivy to Leon, written at the end of her life. The words were filled with emotion and mystery, hinting at something Leon had never revealed. "Dear Leon," the letter began, "if you are reading this, it means our time together in this world has come to an end. There is something you need to know, something I have kept secret for many years. Our daughter, Rose, is alive. I gave birth to her in secret and, with a broken heart, gave her up for adoption, believing it would be best for her, given our situation." June stopped reading, her heart racing. A daughter? Rose? This changed everything. She felt a mix of shock, sadness, and a strange sense of hope. She continued reading, absorbing every word carefully. "I hope that one day you will find her, that you can tell her about our love and how much she meant to us. She has your eyes, Leon, and your courage. I have always loved her and prayed that she would have a full and happy life." The letter ended with a note of hope and love, a final farewell from Ivy to Leon. June could hardly believe what she had just discovered. She had an aunt, a living part of Leon and Ivy who might be somewhere, perhaps even nearby, unaware of her true origins. Determined to find Rose, June decided to investigate further. She shared the discovery with Neil, who readily offered to help. They began searching adoption records and clues that might lead to Rose's whereabouts. It was a difficult task, but June was determined. Weeks turned into months, and the search continued. Each clue seemed to lead to another, but always ended in dead ends. June did not give up. She felt she was getting closer to finding Rose and bringing another important piece of her family's history to light. Finally, one day, June received a call from an adoption center. They had found a record of a child named Rose, adopted by a local family. June was overwhelmed with emotion. It was the lead she needed. She scheduled a visit to the provided address, feeling a mix of nervousness and hope. Upon arriving, she was greeted by a middle-aged woman with a warm smile. "You must be June," said the woman. "I am Rose." June could barely hold back the tears as she hugged her aunt for the first time. The connection was immediate, a deep and emotional recognition of a bond that transcended time and distance. Over the following hours, June told Rose about Leon and Ivy, showing her the letters, photographs, and Ivy's diary. Rose was moved to discover her true roots and the depth of her biological parents' love. Together, June and Rose returned to the barn, now a sacred place of memories and revelations. Rose was impressed by the exhibition and June's dedication to preserving Leon and Ivy's history. "They would be so proud of you," Rose said, tears in her eyes. "And so am I," The revelation of Rose brought a new sense of completeness to June. The barn, once just an unexpected inheritance, was now a symbol of family, love, and discoveries. Each revealed secret, each revived memory, enriched the story that June was destined to tell. Together, June and Rose continued to honor Leon and Ivy's legacy, keeping the flame of love and hope that united their lives alive. The barn, now a place of gathering and celebration, remained the beating heart of a story that unfolded, connecting the past to the present and inspiring the future. The discovery of Rose and the emotional reunion in the barn marked a new chapter in June's life. Inspired by the strength and love that united her family, she decided it was time to transform the barn not only into a space of memories, but also into a place of renewal and growth. Leon's vision for the barn as a community center became June's new mission. June and Rose, now dedicated partners, began planning the complete restoration of the barn. With Neil's help and the community's support, they launched a campaign to raise funds and resources. The touching story of Leon and Ivy, along with June and Rose's dedication, inspired many people to contribute. The response was overwhelming, and soon they had enough resources to begin the work. The first step was to reinforce the barn's structure. Local architects and engineers offered their services, and volunteers of all ages came to help. June could feel the positive energy as hammers and saws worked in sync, and the barn began to come alive again. As construction progressed, June and Rose took the time to plan how the space would be used. They decided to create areas for art, music, and writing workshops, as well as a small museum dedicated to Leon and Ivy's history. They wanted the barn to be a place where people could learn, create, and connect, just as Leon had imagined. One morning, while cleaning out a corner of the barn, Rose found an old wooden box. Inside, there was a set of carpentry tools that had belonged to Leon. "He must have used these tools to build many things here," Rose said, running her fingers over the worn tools. "We should use them too." June agreed, and with Neil's help, the tools were restored and put to use again. It was as if Leon's very essence was guiding their hands as they worked, and this brought an even deeper sense of purpose and connection. During the restoration, June found time to continue exploring and documenting her family's history. With Rose's help, they created a detailed book about Leon and Ivy's lives, their struggles, their dreams, and the legacy they left behind. This book was placed in the barn's museum, available for all who wished to learn their inspiring story. The local community was also actively involved. Memory workshops were organized, where older residents shared their own stories and recollections, creating a rich tapestry of narratives celebrating the past and building a sense of belonging. Children participated in art projects, drawing and painting murals that adorned the barn's interior walls, filling the space with color and life. Finally, after months of hard work, the barn was ready. A grand opening was planned, and June, Rose, and Neil stood in the center of the barn, admiring the results of their efforts. The polished wooden beams gleamed under the soft light of the new fixtures, and the colorful murals told stories of love, resilience, and community. On the day of the opening, people from all over the town and beyond came to celebrate. June gave an emotional speech, thanking everyone who had contributed and sharing Leon's vision for the barn. "This place is more than just a building," she said. "It is a symbol of what is possible when we come together with love and purpose." Rose, standing beside her, added, "Here, we honor the past, live the present, and build the future. Each of you is a part of this story." As the barn's doors officially opened to the community, June felt a profound peace. Leon and Ivy's legacy was not only preserved but also expanded and lived in new ways. The barn, reborn from the memories and dreams of her ancestors, now pulsed with life, ready to welcome and inspire future generations. With the barn now in full operation, June and Rose felt fulfilled, but there was one last chapter that June knew needed to be written. The love and sacrifice story of Leon and Ivy had been the foundation for everything they had built, but there was another story June felt needed to be resolved, her own. Since her husband had abandoned her, June carried a pain and hurt that slowly consumed her. The transformation of the barn and the connection with her family's history had given her strength and a new purpose, but she knew that to move forward fully, she needed to confront and somehow forgive the past. One afternoon, While reflecting on everything that had happened, June made a decision. She picked up the phone and, with trembling hands, called her ex-husband, Paul. His voice on the other end of the line brought a flood of emotions. He seemed surprised to hear her voice, but agreed to meet her for a talk. They met at a local cafe, a neutral place where they could talk openly. The cozy atmosphere and the smell of fresh coffee provided a calm setting for the conversation to come. June, taking a deep breath, began to speak. She told Paul about everything that had happened since he left. The unexpected inheritance, the barn's restoration, the discovery of Rose, and the rebirth of her own life. Paul listened intently, his eyes reflecting a mixture of regret and admiration. When June finished, there was a long silence before he finally spoke. "I made many mistakes, June," he said, his voice low and sincere. "When I left you, I didn't realize how much I was hurting you and myself. I just wanted to escape my own fears and insecurities." June felt tears burning in her eyes, but remained steady. "I had to face my own fears too," she replied. "But Paul, life has moved on. I've learned to find strength and purpose in places I never imagined. And I think part of that growth means forgiving. Forgiving myself for everything I endured and, yes, forgiving you." Forgiveness didn't come easily, but as they talked, June felt a weight start to lift from her shoulders. It wasn't about forgetting the past, but about releasing the control it had over her life. Paul, visibly emotional, thanked June for her generosity and courage. They parted with a renewed understanding. Though the future was uncertain, June felt she had taken a crucial step toward true healing. She returned to the barn, where Rose awaited her with a warm hug. As she told her about the meeting, Rose smiled and said, "Forgiveness is a powerful force. It frees both the forgiver and the forgiven." June knew Rose was right. The journey she had started upon discovering the barn was not just about reviving the past, but also about finding peace and closure in her own life. The barn, with its memories and stories, now also represented the strength of forgiveness and the ability to move forward. The community continued to gather at the barn for workshops, events, and celebrations. Each activity reinforced the spirit of unity and renewal that June and Rose had cultivated. Forgiveness, which had begun as a painful and personal task, now reflected in an environment where people were encouraged to confront and heal their own wounds. June finally felt free. The barn, a symbol of transformation, was also a testament to the power of love and forgiveness. She knew she was ready for whatever life brought her, with a light heart and a peaceful soul. And so, with a bright future ahead, June and Rose continued to write their story, one of strength, renewal, and infinite hope. The barn, now a vibrant center of activities and memories, had become the heart of the community. June, with the help of Rose and Neil, transformed that space into something that resonated deeply with everyone who visited. But for June, this place represented more than a physical legacy. It was a symbol of her own rebirth. One sunny morning, as she walked through the barn, watching the children laughing and playing in one of the art workshops, June felt a profound peace. What once was a symbol of abandonment and loneliness now pulsed with life and joy. Every corner of the barn told a story, every object a memory, and every person who passed through contributed to a new chapter of this ongoing narrative. With the arrival of spring, June and Rose decided to organize a grand festival at the barn to celebrate renewal and community unity. Everyone was excited, and preparations began weeks in advance. There would be music, dancing, food, and of course, many stories to share. On the day of the festival, the barn was adorned with colorful flowers and twinkling lights. People arrived in groups, bringing traditional dishes and musical instruments. The atmosphere was one of pure celebration, a testament to the strength of the community and the beauty of new beginnings. June and Rose stepped onto the makeshift stage to kick off the festivities. "Today, we celebrate not just this barn," June began, her voice firm and full of emotion, "but also all of us who, in some way, have found here a place of renewal and hope. This is a new beginning for each of us, a chapter we are writing together." Rose took the microphone, her smile radiant. "This barn is a reminder that, even in adversity, we can find strength and love. Each of you is a part of this story, and together, we have created something truly special." The festival continued with musical and dance performances, stories being told around bonfires, and laughter echoing through the air. June watched everything, feeling more connected to her community than ever. She felt she had finally found her place, a place where she could be herself and share the richness of her experiences and discoveries. During the night, Neil approached June. "You have done something incredible here," he said, admiration in his eyes. "You have transformed not just the barn, but also yourself and everyone around you." June smiled, feeling a deep gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, without Rose, and without everyone who believed in this vision. This barn belongs to all of us." As she looked up at the starry sky, June thought of Leon and Ivy, feeling their presence like a gentle breeze around her. They had started this story with their love and sacrifice, and now, through the hands and hearts of their descendants, their memory flourished in ways they might never have imagined. The night came to an end, but the spirit of celebration and renewal continued. For June, that festival was not just an event, but the realization of a dream, the marker of a new beginning. She felt ready for whatever the future brought, knowing she had the strength of the past and the promise of a tomorrow full of possibilities. The barn, once an old and forgotten structure, was now a beacon of hope and community, a place where memories of the past and hopes for the future intertwined in a living tapestry of love and renewal. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and joy, June knew that the best was yet to come. The festival at the barn was a great success, but there was one more surprise in store for June and Rose. As they were cleaning up after the event, an elderly visitor approached them. He seemed emotional and had an air of urgency. "Sorry to bother you," he said, "but I need to share something with you. My name is Anthony, and I was a friend of Leon's during the war. When he returned, he confided a secret to me that I have kept until today. He asked me to keep an item safe, something he said would one day be vital for his family." June and Rose exchanged curious and anxious glances. Anthony took a small envelope from his pocket and handed it to June. "Inside this envelope, you will find a key. Leon told me that when the time was right, someone in his family would know what to do with it." With trembling hands, June opened the envelope and took out an old key, adorned with intricate details that suggested careful craftsmanship. As she inspected the key, June remembered a chest they hadn't been able to open during the restoration. Rushing to the back of the barn, she and Rose found the chest, almost forgotten in a corner. With a mix of nervousness and excitement, June inserted the key into the chest and turned it. The lock yielded with a soft click. As she lifted the lid, they revealed yellowed papers and a small wooden box. Inside the box was an engagement ring set with a sparkling diamond and a letter. The letter was from Leon to Ivy. In it, he expressed his eternal love and his hopes that one day the ring would find its way back to the family as a symbol of enduring love and the promise of bright futures. Tears streamed down June's face as she read the letter aloud, feeling the presence of her ancestors more intensely than ever. This ring, so carefully kept, was now a physical link to the past, a tangible proof of love that had survived through generations. For June, this was more than a revelation. It was confirmation that love and hope transcend time and space. As the sun began to set, casting a soft golden glow over the barn, June and Rose placed the ring in a prominent spot in the exhibition as a symbol of their family's strength and resilience. The barn, once just a material legacy, was now a true sanctuary of love and history. If this story touched your heart, then you cannot miss the next heartwarming tales we have to share. On the Amazing Stories channel, each video is a journey of love, resilience, and triumph, inspired by real people and their extraordinary experiences. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of these incredible stories. Click the bell to receive notifications whenever we release a new video. And don't forget to leave your comment and share your own stories. We want to hear from you. Let's celebrate the beauty of our lives together, learning from the past and building a future full of hope and emotion. Join us on Amazing Stories and become part of this incredible community. Until the next video, where another touching story awaits you.